The Supreme Court has issued a split decision on a case that has left USAID contractors in financial limbo. The crux of the matter, $2 billion in funding, frozen by the Trump administration, hangs in the balance. The court, in a 5-4 vote, upheld a lower court's authority to order the release of these funds. However, it stopped short of demanding immediate payment. This nuanced ruling underscores the complexity of the situation. On one hand, it affirms the power of the judiciary to check executive actions. On the other hand, it leaves the door open for further legal maneuvering. The dissenting justices, unsurprisingly, fall along ideological lines. Justices Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh voiced their dissent. Justice Alito, in a pointed rebuke, expressed astonishment at what he perceived as judicial overreach. He argued that the lower court judge, Amir Ali, lacked the authority to compel the government to disburse such a significant sum. This disagreement, while expected, highlights the deep divisions within the court. The implications of this decision are far-reaching. It sets a precedent for future disputes over executive power and congressional appropriations. More immediately, it leaves USAID contractors in a state of uncertainty. While the legal battle continues, projects hang in the balance, and the human cost of this funding freeze continues to mount. The legal battle over the frozen USAID funds began in the lower courts. District Judge Amir Ali issued a temporary restraining order, blocking the Trump administration's attempt to withhold the $2 billion. This initial move was a significant victory for the contractors, who argued that the administration's actions violated existing law. However, the saga didn't end there. Judge Ali, in a subsequent ruling, went a step further. He ordered the immediate release of the funds, prompting the Trump administration to appeal. This escalation brought the case to the Supreme Court, setting the stage for a high-stakes showdown over executive power. The administration, represented by Acting Solicitor General Sarah Harris, argued that Judge Ali had overstepped his bounds. They maintained that while the government intended to honor legitimate contracts, the court lacked the authority to dictate the timeline of payments. This argument, while legally sound, ignored the very real consequences of the delay. Contractors, on the other hand, painted a dire picture of the impact of the funding freeze. They described projects grinding to a halt, workers being laid off, and essential services being disrupted. Their lawyers argued that the administration was deliberately flouting the law and jeopardizing the lives of vulnerable populations. The Supreme Court's decision, while not a decisive victory for either side, provides some clarity. It affirms the judiciary's role in checking executive overreach, but also acknowledges the government's discretion in managing funds. The case now returns to the lower court, where Judge Ali will have to navigate a complex legal landscape and balance competing interests. While the legal battle over USAID funding plays out in courtrooms, the real-world consequences are felt most acutely by those who rely on these programs for survival. The $2 billion in frozen funds represents a lifeline for countless projects across the globe, addressing critical needs like healthcare, infrastructure, and economic development. One such project, a vital irrigation system in war-torn Ukraine, has been put on hold indefinitely. Farmers, already grappling with the devastation of conflict, now face the prospect of crop failure and economic ruin. The lack of irrigation threatens to exacerbate food insecurity in a region already teetering on the brink. In Nigeria, a project to improve access to clean water has come to a screeching halt. Communities that once saw hope in the promise of clean water are now forced to rely on contaminated sources, putting their health at risk. The human cost of this delay is immeasurable, as preventable illnesses spread and lives are needlessly lost. The funding freeze has also dealt a blow to healthcare initiatives. In Vietnam and Nepal, hospitals await crucial medical equipment, their delivery stalled by the bureaucratic impasse. Patients in need of life-saving treatment are left in limbo, their hopes dwindling with each passing day. These examples represent just a fraction of the projects impacted by the Trump administration's actions. The human cost of this funding freeze extends far beyond the balance sheets and legal arguments. It is measured in lives lost, opportunities missed, and suffering endured. As the legal battle continues, it is imperative to remember the human faces behind the headlines and the urgent need to release these vital funds. The freezing of USAID funds is not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a broader agenda pursued by the Trump administration. From the outset, President Trump, with Elon Musk as a vocal ally, has made no secret of his disdain for foreign aid, viewing it as a waste of taxpayer money. This perspective, often articulated in simplistic terms of America First, ignores the complex realities of international development and the interconnectedness of global challenges. It also overlooks the strategic importance of foreign aid in advancing U.S. interests abroad. The Trump administration has consistently sought to slash funding for foreign aid programs, targeting USAID as a prime example. These efforts, while often met with resistance from Congress, have resulted in significant cuts to vital programs, undermining decades of progress in global health, poverty reduction, and humanitarian assistance. The administration's actions have been met with widespread condemnation from humanitarian organizations, foreign policy experts, and even members of Trump's own party. They argue that these cuts will not only harm vulnerable populations, but also damage America's standing in the world and undermine its national security interests. The legal battle over the frozen USAID funds is just one front in a larger war being waged against foreign aid. The outcome of this battle will have far-reaching consequences, not just for the projects and people directly affected, but also for the future of U.S. foreign policy and its role in the world. It is a battle that goes beyond partisan politics and strikes at the very heart of America's values and its commitment to global engagement.